inject you with the virus of becoming a narcissist, a broken person, a fallen angel, until you begin to collapse the fall.
Okay. That's heavy, and it's fast. I think you could hear what I was listening to. As someone has to move over at a tight point on the roads because they're walking in the country on this beautiful day. When I am on my way home to meet up with Jordy and head to Don and Roxy's wedding, which is very exciting to be part of a union. And then I also have my own stuff around the ceremony itself, or the politics around the transference of what is deemed property and chattel for houses that are under the Mark of Rome, which is part of a far bigger picture than what most people have sight to see. Because if you can't put something in your sights, you're not a marksman, which were the highly trained snipers that can put something in their scope and shoot it. For the marksman puts a mark on the one that they'll put in their scope in order to take down. And so that's where then we must see that the mark is both the target as well as the one targeting the one targeted. And this is part of the message that I wanted to get to, which is around the fact that we have all been entrapped by the same mechanisms. We have collectively been under the same guises that get us to use a common vernacular of, hey guys, let's go. We see ourselves as guises, or as guys because we wear guises, which are masks. And that's where we're asked to be other than we are, which is either the marksman or the one marked, as an example of statuses that change our full identity to then solely be defined by what is in relation to the box of identity we checked to say that's what I am, marksman or marked man. As an example, driver, taxpayer, resident, those statuses do the same thing. It's just the consequence of it has less karma involved, though karma is a mark backwards. And this is where we have to see that by taking on the roles within Hyro's prism, as I refer to this matrix where Ma tricks us to actually buy the bull. Not just the bullas of the official seals put onto church doctrine, but to buy the bullshit that make us think that our belief systems are the best BS to connect based on. And that if you can't accept my BS, then you don't love me. And that is so not true. And as one who has for a very long time prioritized the mind and all of the mental tales and theories and tracks that I have been going down in order to find the truth, both capitalized and uncapitalized versions of it, because our capping matters, or our casing actually matters significantly more than what most people are aware of. For instance, did you know that an all caps word is actually a mixing of both English and sign language, which makes it a bastardization of the original? And that bastardizing makes it dog Latin, dog-Latin. For that is what you could look up if you wanted to actually see that all casing not just names, but all words within a document, if it is on the page that has four corners of north, east, south, and west, as well as then the page delivers the message within the House of Commons, where it is not so common to have these awarenesses until it is, because we commonly share that which was held dear to those who could not hear, see, or taste, touch. What is the sense I am missing? What is the sense that would make one deem me crazy to even be sharing such ideas that are part of a dia tree, where the big dia, the big idea, becomes the God, which is dia in a different language. That big idea is at the top of the dia tree. And underneath of that are the ideologies, which ology means the study of the thing it's connected to, that being the idea, the big idea, said was true. And then the ISAs and RSAs, Louis Althusser coined, which are the ideological state apparatuses and the repressive state apparatuses that uphold the ideological state apparatuses, those are under the ideologies and the big dia. And at the bottom of all of that are corporations, where the corpse requires us to orate on its behalf so that we become half of the corpse and take the karma, because it is our name on the page. Where umbrellas of liability insurance assure the ones that are acting under a letter of marque or a letter of commission as per the age of sales of old. Just say, oh, no harm will come to you because you've been told to do so by the souverain or the sovereign who issued this letter of marque or letter of commission. And in modern day, where the sales have turned into an SALES instead of an SAILS, in this age of sales, now we receive commissions for selling something to someone else, forgetting that BS, belief systems, are the big dias that we're actually trading. And if we can only connect on these ideas, it's mental in nature, which I believe is why in the Bible, where you buy the bullas, that the Church of Rome, or the Club of Rome, if you've not heard of it, it's connected to the Fabian Society I spoke to and fully committed, the Sacred Sojourn of NOW. That was my first book, published in 2022 before my charge had been stayed. The summons for my person that tried to fruct me, left, right, and center. Fructing actually being reflective of the use of fruct. That summons had not yet been stayed, which I have come to believe implies that I stayed at one of the four inns of court under the Bar Association, which is the bar that we limbo under or jump over or go to in order to drown our sorrows for having frucked so many people that our private lives suck, but our bank accounts are rich with fiat currencies, forgetting that fiats are simply the official words issued by a souverain with those bullas pasted to them to say that it's legit. In 2022, when I published Fully Committed, the Sacred Sojourn of NOW, I shared my story of the 5 years it took for the book to rewrite me before then I could pen it in a month, which was this same one when I finished it. May Day being the 1st of May, which is said to be the day the world tree was erected, because it no longer reflected the old timelines and instead created new ones, which were global in nature. And now ball glows with the energy that we give to it, the machine, which in French is my China. machine. Nothing against China, neither. However, China and the people of China are not the same. We the people is a construct that we plug into, but what does that mean? We the people should mean all people, but if we don't agree to go under that concept, that dia, or big idea, well then we're not feeding the gestalt, which is akin to a paradigm, which is akin to a belief system. Think of it like an octopus energetically, where the big idea is like the head, and then the tendrils are all connecting to everybody that's feeding it. Well, that's what the corporate realm is based off of. And what I wanted to share and bring down to our individual level, for you to be able to decide whether in divide you all fits for you as the individual. You are who cannot be actually called that separate from the group you are defined as an individual apart from. So these definitions that require us identify in some ways, that actually bring in other ways with it, reflect the ins and outs of things. Are you in or are you out? Are you aware of the in act, or are you out from under the umbrella of liability protection that only extends to the suits the men and women wear in order to loot the people who we are, in fact, separate from the concept of we the people, which does not include all people, therefore is just an idea. I hope this resonates for you on some level, and I would love to know what questions it evokes within you. Because it is time for us to see that an identity is a one-dimensional box that we must then fit into to conform to the limits of what is on the box that we check to say that's what I am, when I have to abandon so much to become that small piece of me, such as the hue of man versus the whole man. Well, humanity is a construct derived from the Bible, where we bought the bullas that we all stemmed from one man and his 3 sons, not knowing that his first son Shem, and the Shem of it all, or the shame of it all, is that Shem's name actually means fame or renown. And that Japheth, the second son, who was said to be under Shem, is actually, the meaning of it is expansion. And then Ham, underneath of that, was made to be the servant and slave of the other brothers under the house of Noah and what we think we Noah, because it was in the book that we took for granted and just accepted without questioning, because if you question something in it, you don't get to be part of it, or to be part of the community or collective that have given so much of their life force energy to the octopus metaphor that they can't separate, and they can't acknowledge the ones that say, hey, there's a fly in this soup that you're serving people and I don't want to eat it. I'd rather get some soup without the fly. Well, then you can go and buy your soup elsewhere, where the soup is simply an analogy for the belief system that is being served to the people who come for dinner, to be fed, nourished in the head instead of the heart. For if we are in our heart, we can feel the resonance of fear, false evidence appearing real, false emotion appearing real. We can feel when something is off, even if we can't quite detect what it is. We don't have to see the fly to know that a fly was in there if we know someone in the kitchen who says, hey, I wouldn't eat that. Well, it's precise. That's what I'm offering right now, is the non-marksman. My storage is low already? Dang. I thought I cleared that up. Oh, I didn't delete the deleted folder, the deleted files folder. Kinsale, That's what the subconscious does. It holds on to all of it, even the ones, the belief systems you thought you deleted, it still got them in there. You gotta hit the cache. You gotta clear the cache, which is why we exchange cash as the fiat currency. You see? Or you don't see? What if that was the Nazi plan? Not seeing the plan, my friends. What if that was just part of it? What if the fact is that we've all been frucked by the same usufructuary system, and that we've actually been called to cause harm and karma between one another in order to keep us in the cycle of suffering or samsara that would keep us bound to a 3D realm where suffering is part of life? What if that isn't the way it needs to be? As I go to Salem Road, where the witches were persecuted in past, because it was at the point of the cross where the woman or man condemned to burn or drown was ultimately no longer who they were before the title or term witch was applied to them. And when they didn't know how to contest it, or the crowd grew too fierce for them to be able to defend themselves against it, they succumb to a fate that could not wait to have them come back into a cycle of suffering that we would perpetuate against one another. This is a whole lot. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on it. Laura J. Peaceful Inner Warriors United is the initiative that came to me years ago. I define it in Fully Committed, the Sacred Sojourn of NOW. And that first book took so much out of me. And I haven't promoted a tremendous amount because I bought 1,500 copies that year because my grandpa gave me a loan in order to do it that I paid back. But I still have so many copies that if you want one, to see where I was before I released my second book about the Justinian deception that intuitively came to me in November 2022, when then I started pursuing the origin story of the legal fiction and how we got here through our diction, which this is a reflection of this work, this day, where I say all that I said, for you to be able to choose where you will be led. I'm told I should be doing more spoken word. And I will be. And I am also looking to get infinity out of my way so that I can actually go faster than what they had either capacity, willingness, or intent to go, because that was real slow. Whoa. Okay, so my point is that if you want a copy of my first book before the second one is available, so you can see just how far I've come internally since the publication of the first, and then the quest that will lead to the second, and that not just the calls but the events that stem from what is being assembled now, held for us to hold each other in trust, without trust being broken through a trust system that is based on fiction. I would love to get you a copy by donation. $25 is what I've asked, since it would be more to buy it online, of which I don't get any. Or I've only gotten pennies, really, which has been a shame and is the shem of the legal fiction, and having books in an online realm where royalties are taken by those that get a major cut, and those that don't know how to actually call for what is rightfully theirs then pay as tax, because it's taxing to not know who and whose you truly are in this world, yo. So if you want to support me in what is coming and in seeing where I've been. A lot of the stories, very personal in nature, which I wouldn't tell again as I did then, but I'm glad that I was willing to be so vulnerable as to do what I did, in all respects. And as I said previously, I would do things very differently if I could, but I'm grateful I can't, because there's growth in doing it the way that I did, and the same is true for you. So, let's go. Lord Jai, Namaste, Namaga.